Hallelujah. Shadala Hena Wilea Botenu, Abiama Yaska Wabiako, Takwados, Shameka Kwados, Baruch Shemeka Lola Mae, with Shamu Bene Israel El Shabbat La So El Shabbat Le Dor Tamili Ola, Meni Bene Israel Oti Ola, Kisha Shemi Masa El Shaddai Wa Shemaim, where Ta'adet Ubayom Mashbi Shabbat Wa Inak Flash, Baruch Shemeka, Baruch Yemeneka, Baruch Tulateka, Baruch Lushateka. El Shaddai Malek, El Shaddai Malak, El Shaddai Imlok Lolam Ma'e, Baruch Shem Kabor Makuto Lolam Ma'e, Baruch Kabor Lohim Min Komo Malek Elyon, Hallelujah, Lolam Ma'e. First of all, I'd like to give all honor and praise to the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, the God of Jacob, the great, mighty, revered God, the Most High God, who bestows loving kindness and possesses all things, who remembers the pious deeds of the patriarchs, the Most High, slow of anger, slow of kindness, greatness and kindness, forgiving and mercy, and who by no means declare the guilty, visiting iniquities of fathers upon children to the third and fourth generation. The Most High, His work is perfect, for all His ways of justice, the God of faithfulness and without iniquity, just and right is He. May be seated. It's your phone. It's your phone. Second, I'd like to give all honor and praise to my father, Chief Eliezer, to the chief princes, brothers and sisters. I say unto you the tongue of my forefathers. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
This is the Shabbat day, and the word Shabbat, it means general strike, work stoppage, complete rest. Shut everything supposed to be shut down when sunset Friday. Why? Because this is not our day. This ain't my day. Neither is it your day. This is God's day. And He ordained this day to be observed from the day that God created the heavens and the earth and everything that's in it. So when God ceased from His work, which means in the Hebrew, yanak, it means to cease from work or to cease from creating. Right? So therefore, we must observe the day because God observed it. We have to learn to train ourselves to love and accept the things that God loves and accept. Right. Now you could be godly. Now you could be holy. Now you are able to be godly and righteous because the whole name of the game is to accept the things that God accepts. Right. Love the things that God loves. Hate the things that God hates because He's not all love. There are things that God hates and despises. That's right. Huh? There's a thing called iniquity. He said, we serve a God that what? That hated iniquity. That's right. So if we sin and continue to break these laws, commandments, and statutes, it's sad to say that God will hate you and despise you. Right. And even when God hates you and despises you, He still give you a way out to get back in good graces with God. I say He still give you a good way. He still leave a long enough rope for you to pull yourself up out of the water to save yourself. Because our God don't delight in the death of the wicked. I said our God, the God we serve, do not delight in the death of the wicked. But He desires us to correct our ways. Correct our ways and walk uprightly before God. And the only way to walk uprightly before God is to follow His laws, commandments, and statutes. Follow after His ways. We got to follow after His ways. And how do we learn His ways? We got to read this book. How do we learn the laws and the commandments of God? We got to read this book. There's a thing called presumptuous sin. And there's a thing that is called when we sin through error. Which means when I say through error, it means you didn't know. And God do not condemn you for things that we don't know. That's why we had an offering. This is why we had an offering that went up. We was able to go to the high priest and get cleared from those iniquities that we sin through error. So when we do things in error, by mistake, meaning you did not know, God don't condemn you for that. We serve a God that gives us a chance to save ourselves. We serve a God that gives us a chance that we are able to correct the things that we have done before God. Let's go into Numbers 15. Because there's people that's telling people that once you sin, there's no way back. There's no way out. Once you violate, there's no way out. No, we don't serve a God that does this. Let's go into Numbers 15, verse 22.
Verse 22.
Numbers chapter 15, verse 22.
And if ye have erred.
And if ye have erred. My father taught me when you read in the laws, reading these laws, make sure you have a good dictionary.
Right.
Do not assume and think you know the meaning of the word, because when you look up the word, it takes you deeper.
Yeah, right.
It's more than what you think. So the word says, when you err, the word for err in the Hebrew is shagah. Shagah means to sin through error or mistake, ignorance, inadvertently, unwittingly. Unwittingly means without knowledge. I said unwittingly means without knowledge. So when we sin, or when we have sinned through error, or when we have sinned without the knowledge of that you have violated those laws. Right? Go ahead, Tamshi.
And if ye have erred and not observed all these commandments which the Lord has spoken unto Moses, even all that the Lord hath commanded you,
and if ye have erred, and what?
And not observed.
And not observed
all these commandments.
These commandments. Go ahead.
Which the Lord has spoken unto Moses.
He said, when you have erred and have not done all these commandments, which the Lord has spoken unto Moses. It's very important to do and fulfill the laws that we know to be lawful and right by God. We are doing ourselves more hurt if we continue to know laws, commandments, and statutes and not fulfill those laws that we know to be commandments and laws of God. Okay? In Deuteronomy 27, it states, he said, cursed be cursed be the man that confirmeth not all the words of these laws, and all the people shall say, so be it. The word confirm, it also means to fulfill, to carry out. So it's very important to fulfill the laws and the commandments of God that we know to be laws, commandments, and statutes of God, not the ones that we can't fulfill here. This is why we ain't supposed to be doing no sacrifices and offerings. Because in order to do a sacrifice or offering, you need a high priest. And because we don't have a high priest, we should not be doing sacrifices and offerings. Okay? Go ahead, Tamshi.
Even all that the Lord hath commanded you by the hand of Moses, from the day that the Lord commanded Moses,
Uh-huh.
and henceforward among your generations.
Henceforward among your generations. Top sheet.
Verse 24.
Verse 24.
Then it shall be, if aught be committed by ignorance
It
without
won't
the
be
knowledge
committed by ignorance without the knowledge
of the congregation,
that
all the congregation shall offer one young bullock for
young
a burnt offering,
bullock for burnt offering,
for a sweet savior,
for a
unto
sweet
the Lord,
savior unto the Lord,
with his meat offering,
with his meat
and his
offering,
drink offering,
and his drink offering,
according to the manner,
and
and one kid
one
of the goat
kid
for
of
a
the
sin
goat
offering.
for a sin offering. Read.
Verse 25. And the priest shall make an atonement for all the congregation of
And
the
the
children of
priest
Israel.
shall make an atonement. The priest is the only one that makes an atonement.
Right.
Okay? The word for atonement is kapad. Kapad means to expiate an offense or faults. To expiate an offense or faults. To make atone for. Right? To appease. Huh? This is the meaning and the reason why the high priest made these atonements for iniquities to pacify the anger of God,
That's right.
to appease God.
That's right.
Because again, we serve a God that hates iniquity.
That's right.
So when we violate, God gave us a way to go to get these iniquities up off us by going to the high priest. But that's how far we got. That's how far we got from God. God done took away the high priest. We don't have no more high priest here. Because in order to have a high priest, he has to be consecrated.
That's right.
We can't do no consecration here.
That's right.
There's only one temple. The temple that King Solomon built was destroyed and desecrated. These places that we gather at are not temples. There's only one temple. Okay? So therefore, we can't have a high priest here. Okay? So how do we appease the anger of God? How are we able to get around these iniquities? We have to make our mind up and stop violating the commandments and the laws. Stop violating the laws that you know to be laws according to what you read. We got to stop. We have to make our mind up. See, this is why we go in and out with God. We're back and forth. We're back and forth. We're back and forth. We got to make our mind up and stay on that steady path, pushing towards righteousness. Okay? Acceding to his demands, to appease, to pacify God by acceding to his demands. You know what acceding means? Acceding means to agree, to demand of. These are the things that God demands of us. He demands that we follow these laws and keep these laws and observe the Shabbats and do everything that there's a way that God wants us to live. And when we have decided to live our own way, then we are doing our own thing. Now we're going to anger God. Now we're going to anger God because now we got to realize that this is not my life to be living. This ain't my life. This life was borrowed for a short time. And when God calls my name, when it's time for me to go back to the dirt, I got to be right. I got to be right with God. To expiate an offense means to make amends. To make amends, right? Or reparation for. To make amends means to make better or to improve. But the only way to make amends, you have to have a conscience. You have to have that guilty conscience. The guilty conscience, that guilt is what comes when you have when you have done something wrong or when you've done something wrong. You have people that do things, offend, and they don't feel no guilt or they don't feel bad about what they did. Those people can't serve God. Reparation means making amends for a wrong one has done. Okay? Okay? So now, the burnt offering, the entire animal is burnt on the altar, which is what? Total commitment or surrender to God. All right? It was a soothing aroma for a sin offering that we commit through ignorance to pacify the wrath of God. All these things had a purpose. All these things had a purpose, man. See, the Creator knew, God knew that we was going to need all these things. Burnt offerings, sin offerings. Oh, we going to need all that. The very same day that Adam ate from the tree of knowledge of good and evil, God already knew we was going to need a way out. And he gave us the way out. But we still turned our backs on God. We still continue to turn our backs on God. Tom Sheep. What verse?
Verse 25.
25.
And the priest shall make an atonement for all the congregation of the children of Israel.
The priest shall make an atonement for all the congregation of Israel. Read.
And it shall be forgiven them.
And it shall be forgiven him.
For
the word for forgiven is salak. It means to pardon. To pardon means the action of forgiving for an error or offense. And when we're able to get forgiveness from God, we are able to get back in good favor with God. We're able to get back in good graces, in good favor with God. We have to realize that when we violate and commit sin, there's a breach that opens up. Okay? Your spirit, there's a breach in the spirit which allows iniquity to come in. Forgiving means what? Stop feeling angry or resentful towards someone for an offense, a flaw, or a mistake. So when God has forgiven us, truly forgive us. When God has truly forgiven us, but the only way God will truly forgive you, you got to be truthful. You got to be truthful with yourself and make your mind up whether you're going to stop violating, whether you're going to pull back, or you're going to keep riding that horse, pushing. You got to refrain. Tom Sheep.
And it shall be forgiven them for his ignorance. And they shall bring their offering, a sacrifice made by fire unto the Lord, and their sin offering before the Lord for their ignorance.
So we got to realize something now. The human race is flawed.
Oh, yeah.
We are all flawed.
Born.
We're born in iniquity. In some way, in other words, blemished. There's a spot in every one of our spirits. Right? But we can remove those blemishes. We can remove those flaws. We don't have to remain flawed. We don't have to remain blemished. We don't have to remain sinful. God gave us a book. A book to where we were able to read it and understand and see the things that God hates, see it and read the things that God loves. Now you choose. Now it's up to you to choose what life you want to live, because God don't force nobody. I said, God don't force nobody because he wants a willing heart. I want to see how willing you is. A willing heart. Why do I got to keep telling you over and over? You know why we got to keep repeating ourselves to people about the same thing over and over? And then they get more stubborn and more stubborn and more stubborn. You know why? Because there's a thing called pride. I said there's a thing called pride. Oh, I won't do this because. Oh, I can't do that over there because. Oh, I ain't going to do this over here because. Because what? Because you want to die. That's why. Because what? It ain't about nobody else. It's about you saving yourself. It's about you saving yourself from yourself. But pride gets in the way. And you can't see it. Why? Because God is going to use the same thing, that same pride that you have in you, to destroy your own self. You're going to destroy your own self. When we commit iniquity, it weakens your spirit, which blocks you from God. I said when we commit sin, it weakens our spirit. It don't weaken the physical. I said sin weakens the spirit. So now once your spirit becomes weakened, you don't have the strength. You don't have the strength to push for God. You don't have the strength to keep pushing. You don't have the strength to back off from the things that God despises and hates. Which blocks you from God. Because we are flawed. It brings about a weak character. It brings about a weak personality. A look of courage and willpower to serve God. That's when people have difficulties understanding their values. That's when people have difficulties understanding their beliefs and desires, which leads to confusion about them, about their purpose in life. Your purpose is to serve God and keep his commandments. But that's the duty of all man. Why they say woman is because a man is supposed to lead his household after him in righteousness. Time sheet.
Verse 26.
Verse 26.
And it shall be forgiven all the congregation of the children of Israel.
And
the stranger that sojourned among them.
And it what? And it shall what?
Be forgiven.
And it shall be forgiven. You hear that, man? Yo, you will get a pass. Why? Because the high priest was linked in with God, man. We had a way of getting rid of iniquity. We had a way of getting rid of sin. And we messed that up, man. We had an excellent system going. We want to follow the nations. We want to do what they do. We want to be like them. We want to look like them. We want to do everything like the nations, man. But God already had what? He already had the order already set up. He already had the order set up. We didn't like the order that God had set up. We didn't like that. We wanted our own order. God said, don't marry into these strange women. Oh, man, who said? Man, we ran to these strange women and took on their ways, took on their customs, took on their traditions. Listen, man. Listen, we are holy people, man.
Talk about it.
I said we are holy people. We just didn't activate it. Ain't nothing activating, man. Ain't nothing being activated. You know why it ain't being activated? Because we keep going in and out with God.
Back.
We keep going in and out with God like the backsliding heifer. We keep backing up, man. You got to stop backing up and push forward. Push forward. You ain't tired of violating the law? You ain't tired? Do you ever tell yourself, what am I doing? I can't tell you that. You gotta tell yourself that. Ask yourself, man. Ask yourself, man. And you gotta make yourself feel it. Get excited and get the goose pimples and stir yourself up to push for the laws of God, man. Because I don't want to die in my iniquities. And I know you don't want to die in your sin. Because ain't nothing good for a monkey that dies in his sin, man. I said ain't nothing good for a monkey that dies in their iniquities. So before you die, make your mind up to stop doing whatever you're doing that is contrary from what we read here. Everything is done on its own time. I said everything is done on its own time. What you push for, and when you're pushing, this guy here ain't pushing yet. Man, I was talking to Prince Shimshon. Man, that brother, man, he grew so much in knowledge that I'm listening to him. Me and Zachariah is talking to him. And I'm listening to this guy here. I said, man, listen to him, man. I said, listen to this dude here, man. But everything happens in his time, and he's talking, and I'm listening to him. Me and Zachariah listen to them. Talking, and yo, I don't remember what he was saying. But go ahead, Tom Sheep.
And it shall be forgiven all the congregation of the children of Israel, and the stranger that sojourned among them, seeing.
Wait, go back. What verse was that?
26.
26, read.
And it shall be forgiven all the
And it shall be forgiven,
all the congregation of the children of Israel, and the stranger that sojourned among them, seeing all the people were in ignorance.
Seeing all the people was in ignorance. You see that? You see the God we serve, man? Why you think he went and told Jonah? He said, Jonah, I need you to go over there and warn the people. Jonah said, man, listen, I ain't going over there and tell them nothing. That's the same mentality that niggas have today. Yeah, I got to call you a nigga. Anytime you have an opposite mentality than God, then you are a nigga. You got a nigga mentality. Because your mentality must be correlated with God's mentality. So now, look at the mentality of God, man. God said, they don't know their right from their left. You don't think? He said, then he told Jonah, he said, listen, man, you feel sorry for a God. But you can't feel sorry for them. Of people that don't know their right from their left. Which means what? To serve God, you need to have a heart. That's right. You can wear the garments and have all this. You can do whatever you want to do. But if you don't got a heart, you can't serve this God, man. Gotta lighten up, brother. I got this from the brother too. I just remembered. He said, sometimes you may have to change your delivery.
How you express come on.
Prince Shimshon. He said, sometimes you may have to change your delivery. Wisdom. And I'm sitting there listening to him. He said, listen to him talk. He said, because sometimes your approach is too hard. Not everybody can accept that approach. If you keep banging me over my head, guess what's going to happen? You're going to draw distance between the person. Okay. Sometimes I need to bring some ointment. Bang them over the head with the law, but with a little ointment, though. Gotta have a heart, man. You gotta have a heart. Throughout the book, you know what it said in the book? He said, purchase a heart. How do you purchase a heart?
Only one way.
One way to get a heart. There's only one way.
Give up that pride.
You got to give up pride. You got to give up vanity. And God teaches you to have a heart. Reading this book teaches you to have a heart because these are laws concerning each other. These are laws concerning how we should deal with each other. It don't say them. It says thou. Thou. It's Stop worrying about what he doing and what she doing. Worry about thou. That's it. When you can begin to start worrying about you and what you do. Oh, he's acting or she's acting this way. Don't worry about what he or she's doing. You continue to walk uprightly. You make sure you keep yourself in place. Don't let them pull you off track. Because the book is about thou. It's about you and what you do. We don't understand that? Huh? We don't understand that, man. Let's read, man.
Verse 27. And if any soul sin through ignorance,
then
he shall bring a she-goat of the first year.
If you sin through ignorance, bring a she-goat. Again, we can't bring up no offerings here. So when we sin through ignorance, what should we do? You know what I do? When I sin and I find out something that I violated, I go on a fast. Yeah, I go on a fast. Strap my loins up with some sackcloth.
Say it again, brother.
And I humble myself before God and prostrate. Hoping to get some type of favor from God. Because I learned how to gain favor from God now. Just by reading the book. God had it out for Ahab, man. I said, God had it out for Ahab. But the reason what held God back a little was when Ahab fasted, he put on sackcloth, and he walked humbly before God, softly. Okay? So when you're fasting, there's a certain attitude that comes with that fast. You can't have a raunchy spirit talk about your fasting. No, you got to be humble before God. Huh? You're fasting because you have that guilt riding you about your violations. All right? You're feeling sorrowful about what you did.
You can't be mad and sorry.
So I can't be mad and sorry. Huh? I can't be in trouble and still mad.
That's right.
I'm in trouble. God got the fire underneath my yoke.
That's right.
I am in trouble. Which means because I am in great trouble that God put me in, I need to humble myself in everything I do. Hoping that God will have some mercy on my soul. Hoping that God will have mercy on me and don't condemn me and put me in the hands of the oppressor. Hoping that God don't condemn me and put me in the hospital and put me in places. I don't want to go in those places. I don't want to go in those places. You can't serve God in jail. I don't want to be hospitalized. So now guess what? Some people need to be hospitalized. It all depends on the amount of pride you have. Some people, God got to deal with them harsh and put them through the drastic measures. Some people, God ain't got to deal with them like that. Sometimes all they got to do is see what you're going to do. That's right. And he start thinking about himself. Yeah, that's right. Man, look at this, man. Let me straighten up. Because I don't want to be next. That's right. So let me straighten up with God. Because I don't want to be next. That's right. Lord God, you ain't got to twist me up and hang me up on my neck. Right. No, for me to listen. No, I'm not going to be stubborn, God. I'm going to hearken. I'm going to hearken and I'm going to see what people is going through. And I'm going to use that for myself. I ain't got to go through it. All I got to do is see. That's why the Most High said, he said, what makes the heart better? He said, house of mourning. He says, better to be in the house of mourning. Because when you're in the house of mourning, the heart is made better. Which means you won't think about yourself. The first thing you go to a funeral is, man, I may be next.
One day
I'm going to be in that box. And I'm going to have dudes looking at me in that box. But when I go in that box, I want to be right with God. I want to be right with God, man. I want to be right with God. I don't know what people want, but I want to be right with God. God see my heart and know. I want to be right with God, man.
Right. That's right.
I want to be right with God, man.
That's right. Me too, brother. God.
Hoping that the righteousness transfers over to my children.
Yeah.
Hoping that my children continue to live uprightly before God.
That's right.
Because there's no delight in unprofitable children.
That's right. Say it again.
Unprofitable children are children that don't serve God.
That's right. Say it again, brother.
Good for nothing. You're useless.
Say it again, brother.
You're useless. Ungodly children. Nobody wants no children that's ungodly,
That's
man.
right. Say it again, brother.
So we only know what our child would do when they get older.
That's right.
When they get older, you will know what your child chooses. When they are able to make their own choices. Right now, when they're kids, you make their choices for them. But when they move out and they get their own place and they get married, now you will learn and see what they choose.
That's right.
But you got to be able to face the east and raise your hand up before God and say, Lord God, I taught this child. And I never showed him nothing else other than this.
That's right. Nothing else, man. No other God. That's right.
Let's read.
And the priest shall make an atonement for the soul that sinneth ignorantly.
And the priest shall make an atonement for the soul that sinneth ignorantly. Read.
When he sinneth by ignorance before the Lord. To make an atonement for him. And it shall be forgiven him. You shall have one law for him that sinneth through ignorance.
One law for him that sinned through ignorance.
Both for him that is born amongst the children of Israel.
What verse you at?
The end of 29.
Go ahead, Tom Sheep.
Both for him that is born amongst the children of Israel, and for the stranger that sojourneth among them. But the
both for what? For the one that's born among the children of Israel, and for the stranger that sojourns among them. So the stranger gets the same treatment, man. You can't treat the stranger different. We got to remember that was we strangers?
Oh, yeah.
We ain't never been strangers. Our forefathers been strangers. And they know the heart of a stranger. I ain't never been a stranger nowhere. But I know there's a treatment that comes when you serve God.
That's right.
There's a treatment that comes when you serve God. The book tells you that. When a person, let's read. We're going to get into that later. Let's read.
Verse 30. But the soul that doeth aught presumptuous.
But the soul that does what?
Aught presumptuously.
But the soul that does aught presumptuously. The word for presumptuously is Beyad Ramah. You know what Beyad Ramah means? It means a high hand. A high hand. You know what a high hand is? Having or showing no regard for God. When you don't consider God. No regard for God or the rights, concerns, or feelings of others. Unbelievable. Yeah, I got to consider God, and I got to consider you. We don't consider each other, man. We don't consider each other. The other definition is, the other two words that goes under high hands, arbitrary or overbearing. What is arbitrary? What is overbearing? Arbitrary is when you act without thought. When you do things off impulse. When you do things without thinking, what is the effect of my actions? what's the results of my actions? What's going to happen if I do this? Because sometimes when we do things, there's a domino effect that happens after. We don't think.
For every action,
We just do and we say things.
opposite and equal.
I said we do and we say things, not considering. Not considering.
Moving on the feeling.
Yeah. When you act without thought of what is fair or right, done without evidence, no proof. You can't move without proof. I said you can't move without proof. You didn't even find out if it was the proof. You didn't even find out if this was really the situation. You just jumped on your own recognizance. You done jumped on your own recon because you got all emotional. You didn't want to hear nothing. I just going off of what I'm hearing and that's it. You can't serve God neither. You can't serve God neither. Overbearing. When you assert your will over other people in an arrogant or an unpleasant way, it's your will. It makes you comfortable. You're not worried about if it makes that person comfortable or her comfortable or them comfortable. And we thought, and for instance, we wasn't tyrants. Ain't nothing wrong with a parent considering how their child feels. Ain't nothing wrong with that. You know why? You know why ain't nothing wrong with it? Because our forefathers did it. Saul did it with Jonathan. He said, hold up. He said, make not Jonathan hear this lest he be grieved. Saul said that. Huh? I said, King Saul said that. He said, I don't leave that alone, man. I don't want Jonathan to hear that because he's going to be grieved. I know he digging that guy. I know he digging King David. I know he digging him. He said, don't tell him. He said, leave. I don't want him to hear this. So ain't nothing wrong with a parent considering their child's feelings. Not because you're a parent means you can't consider your child's feelings.
That's right.
It makes you godly.
That's right.
Those are the things that make you godly.
That's right.
Well, I don't care how you feel. I'm the parent. No, you're the fool. You ain't godly. I can consider my child's feelings and how she feels, and I can cater to his or her feelings.
That's right.
Ain't nothing wrong with that.
Talk about it.
It don't make me soft or a weak parent. Where we at?
Numbers chapter 15, verse 30.
Let's read it.
But the soul that doeth aught presumptuously,
But the soul that does aught presumptuously,
whether he be born in the land,
whether he be born in the land
or a stranger,
or a stranger,
the same reproacheth the
the
Lord.
same reproacheth God. Woo! The word reproach is gadaf. Gmail, dalet, pay, Sophie. It means reproach. It means to revile. It means to blaspheme. To reproach. How do you reproach God? And that's why it's very important to look up these words.
Right.
So we can get in depth to know what not to do.
Yeah.
To reproach God.
That's right.
To reproach means to express disapproval.
Watch your mouth.
To reproach God means you express your disapproval.
Watch what you disagree with.
Watch what you disagree with. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I said, watch what you disagree with.
Yeah.
If God like it, you gotta like it.
That's right.
If God accept it, you gotta accept it.
That's right.
Because guess what? When we disagree with God, and when we express our disapproval with God, God cuts you off.
Right.
I said it brings about a cut-off state of mind. I said, watch what you disagree with God.
Right.
Right? To express disapproval to, That's when you refuse to accept what God says. So now we're going to go to the next one. Blaspheme. Blaspheme means when you speak irreverently. Reverent is respect. Irreverently is without respect about God. Without due respect or veneration. To revile means to criticize in an abusive, insulting manner. To abuse, attack with evil words.
Verbal attack.
Verbal attack. Tom sheet. Now, go ahead. The same reproacheth.
The same reproacheth the Lord, and that soul shall be cut off from among his people.
Wait a minute.
Shall be.
Wait a minute. You remember Scarface? When Scarface caught the man and Scarface shot him in the stomach, he said, wait a minute. He said, you can't shoot a cop. Wait a minute.
Wait a minute.
Wait a minute. To cut off. You know what it means to cut off? The word for cut off is niked. Nun kaf resh. Woo. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. So when you reproach God, he said the same reproach at God. He said he will cut them off. Niked means to alienate, to betray, to estrange, to deny. This is heavy, man. We alienate ourselves from God. How? What do you mean by alienate? What does it mean to be alienated from God? To alienate means to cause someone to feel, to isolate oneself. You separate yourself. You begin to separate yourself. You pull yourself away. You withdraw yourself. Okay? Indifferent means having no interest or sympathy. Having no interest and no sympathy. You know, we are people with no sympathy. We are people with no sympathy. Sympathy meaning what? Is a feeling of pity or compassion for. I have to learn to feel sorry and have pity for people. Remember in the Apocrypha where Ezra started to cry out and speak up for the people that were turned against God. And the angel told me, he said, listen, man, stop trying to worry about the wicked and what their portion is. But that's what godly and righteous men do. On the natural, on the norm. You're gonna have that pity and compassion. That's why God said, you need a heart. You got a stony heart, people. I said, the people have a stony heart. Got rocks and stones for heart. Estrange means what? To remove from customary environment or association. To stir up mutual enmity or indifference where there had been formerly love. There was love. There was a point of time where God loved us.
That's right.
I said there was a point in time where God did love us. But we stunk. We stunk. We started to go against the very same thing that God commanded us. We despised God. And because we showed despisement for God, he pushed us away. God went back to his place. But Israel refused to acknowledge their fault. I said, people refuse to acknowledge that they was wrong.
That's right. Talk about it, son.
And it seems like we're talking about the same. These people gotta be the people.
Talk about it, brother.
Yeah. Yeah, match up. Because I see the same thing, the same behavior, the same actions. Why? Because we refuse. We can't even acknowledge our fault between each other.
Talk about it, brother.
Huh? We call things wrong. We say false or this wrong or you're wrong and this is wrong. But God don't see it as wrong.
That's right.
I said, God don't look at it as wrong. And that's when we'll stop being pissed off for foolishness.
That's right.
We got to ask ourselves, was there any violation within the book? Is there a cause? Who said that?
David.
King David.
Yeah.
Huh? He said, Samuel said, I ain't take an ox, an ass. I ain't take nothing from y'all, man. I ain't did nothing to you. What you got against me?
Why you turning?
Why you turn on me?
Talk about it, brother.
Mutual enmity is the bitter attitude or feelings against a person. Bitter. Right? Now, it says interest, right? Having no particular interest or sympathy for. Huh? To excite the curiosity. You know what it reminds me of? Exodus chapter 3. Exactly. Moses. My forefather Moses. Moses he sees a burning bush. But the bush was being burnt, but it wasn't being consumed. Right? So now, he said, let me see this great sight. God did that great sight to excite the curiosity of Moses, which means we have to show a certain amount of interest in God, so God will be able to open your eyes with His laws. If you don't show no interest in God, then God is not going to open your eyes to the things that He needs to open your eyes with. Got to show some type of interest. And the only way to show interest is to have your head in that book. Put your head in that book. Because you desire to learn the ways of God and His commandments and His statutes. Huh? So when he seen that, God spoke to him. He said, hey. He said, where you stand at is holy ground. He said, take your shoes off. From that day forward, Moses was a changed man. He was hooked. It was over after that. It's time to go back, Moses. All the men that sought your life, they dead. I done invited everybody. That's when you know you are in good favor with God. When you ain't got to lift a finger. Whoever violates you, God take care of it. Yeah. Man, you get so deep in rank with God that you can't even be talked about. Once somebody talk negative about you, God turn and look at you. What do you think happened with Miriam and Aaron? Huh? Moses was on a different rank with God. A different level. He was such on a high level with God that you better not speak against him. Huh? We got to be careful, man. I said we got to be careful. There's some people that call Moses, said Moses is a murderer. Oh, Moses murdered. Watch what you say. I said, watch what you say. Moses ain't no murderer.
He ain't murdered nobody.
But he killed the Egyptian. Because the Egyptian was smiting his brother. So he looked this way and looked that way. Slayed him. Hit him in the sand. God didn't say he's a murderer. So if God didn't say he was a murderer, who are you?
Who are you?
Who are you? Who you? We should only voice and say things that you read. Because when we voice and say things that's not in the book, you are adding on.
That's right.
You're adding on, man. You're adding on. I'm afraid to call Eve a liar. Not me. I'll let y'all do that. Not me. I ain't calling Eve no liar. You know why? Because I ain't reading the book with Eve, but God said Eve was a liar.
That's right.
I heard brothers call Tamar a what? A whore.
Talk about it, brother. Talk
I
about
said,
it.
what's wrong with these people, man?
Talk about it, brother.
Where do we get the courage
The audacity.
or the audacity, that's the correct word, to speak against the people
God reverence, man.
that God reverence and have respect for?
Yeah. Talk about it, brother.
We ain't nowhere near these people's standards.
Let's talk about it. That's right.
Yeah, they call it, not Tamar, Dina.
Dina.
The people call Dina a whore. But Dina really got raped. Because in the Hebrew, it's the same Hebrew word that it used for Tamar when Tamar got forced. The word is anah, ayin, nun, hey. It's the same Hebrew word that was used with Tamar. Dina ain't going around giving it up like that, man. Not my mother. That's my mother too. Sarah's my mother. Rebecca, Raquel, all those godly women that I read in this book are my mothers.
That's right.
Watch your mouth, man.
That's right.
Calling Dina a whore.
That's right.
Come on, man. I don't like to hear people talk. Listen, go ahead with those. Listen.
Talk about it.
Listen, man. Where we at, brother?
Talk about
Verse 31.
Let's read.
Because he had despised the word of the Lord.
Because he had despised the word of God. The word for despise is bazah. Beit zayin hey. You know what it means? It means despise. It means to contempt. You know what contempt means? Contempt means willful disobedience to God.
Contempt.
Willful disobedience to God. Despise means deep repugnance. Deep repugnance means to contradict, to show opposition. To show opposition means to be opposite. God said, ye shall be holy, for I, the Lord your God, am holy. Who said you can't be holy here? I know I could. I know I could be holy. Holy only means to be set apart. And how do you set yourself apart? The book shows you that. Follow the book and you will be set apart. Follow the book and you will be distinguished. You will be different. Come on, man. To contend against. To resist. Go ahead.
Because he had despised the word of
He
the
said,
Lord.
because he had despised the word of God.
And had broken his commandments.
And had broken his commandments. Now, the Hebrew word for broken is hepad. Hey, pay, raise. And that means to break, to violate, to void, to nullify. To break means to invalidate, to weaken or destroy the cogency. Woo! I said to break. When we break the laws of God, this is, oh my goodness, it means to invalidate. It also means to weaken or destroy the cogency. You know what the cogency is? Having the power to constrain oneself. That's the willpower. To having the power to hold yourself back from committing iniquity. So when we violate see, God has endued us. You know what endued means? Endued means to provide. He gave us that strength to be able to behold and hold yourself back. But when we sin,
we weaken it.
Yeah, that strength weaken it.
And we weaken it.
Yeah, until it
Now we're not able to hold ourselves back, and we begin to give in
That's right. That's right.
to sin.
That's right.
Right at
That's
the
right,
door.
brother. That's right.
That's why King David said, he said, "Oh Lord God," he said, "hold back thy servant from presumptuous sin."
That's right.
He said, "Oh Lord God, don't allow me to give in
That's right. That's
to
what
presumptuous
it
sin."
is. That's what it is.
And this is why prayers is important, man.
That's right.
I said prayers is important.
Okay. That's right.
We gotta pray. Why? Because when you pray, you know who you're talking to. Yeah, you're talking to God, but guess who else you're talking to? It's you're programming that evil spirit that you have in you. That's why God said, talk about it when you sit in the house, when you lie down, when you walk by the way, when you rise up. Why? Because who do you think is benefiting? You. That's why God says speak about it. Because by me speaking about these laws, commandments, and statutes, by me reciting these prayers over and over every day, hey, brother, you will see a change. Don't stop. You continue to pray 5 times, 7 times. You continue to pray. Why? Because you're trying to strengthen that spirit. I need all the prayers I can get. I need to talk about this book every day. Because you strengthen yourself.
Boost yourself up.
That's right. Talk about it.
Helps break the spirit of pride.
It breaks that spirit of pride.
That's right.
And then you begin to think upon oneself and think upon yourself and think and take heed to yourself more so.
That's right. That's right. Talk about it.
To violate. It means to break or fail to comply with the rules of God, to commit a sin. To void means to declare the laws of God is not valid when you void it. Okay, go ahead.
Verse 31. Because he had despised the word of the Lord, and had broken his commandments.
It had broken his commandments.
That soul shall utterly be cut off.
That soul shall utterly be cut off. So now, the cutoff before said Nikir, Nun Kafresh. This one says utterly cut off. Tikadet, he kadet. Tikadet, he kadet means you die. Some cut off, some cut off. It don't mean you die. You can be cut off from association with God, like Saul. Saul was cut off from communication with God. It's different levels with being cut off. Some laws, when you violate, you get cut off by death. Ain't no coming back from that. It's time to go. Huh? What's one of those cut-offs that you get cut off by death? Profaning the Sabbath day. I said profaning the Sabbath day.
Run it.
Now we're going to learn what not to do to profane the Sabbath day. There was a man that was gathering sticks.
Run it.
I said there was a man that was gathering sticks, people. And God don't kill you for your intentions. I said, God do not kill you for your intentions. He kill you for your actions. So the man did not kindle the fire, but he got caught gathering sticks. They took him and put him in water. So guess what? I don't gather nothing.
That's right.
You could say and do what you want. But I'm going to use the book and learn from what I read.
That's right.
I don't gather nothing because the action of gathering is work. That's the same thing that man did in the wilderness, and they took him and strung him up. And Moses went to God. God told him to kill him. Which means we shouldn't be doing nothing on God's holy day.
That's right.
You should not be profaning the day.
That's
Another
right.
way of profaning the day is speaking your own words.
That's right.
Speaking of matters, Isaiah 58.
Talk about it, brother.
I said Isaiah 58. The only thing we should be talking about is the book.
That's right.
I don't want to hear nothing about Trump's inauguration.
Right.
And I don't want to conversate about Trump's inauguration.
That's right.
I don't want to hear about that.
Current event.
And stop going up on the beamer talking politics.
That's right.
Because those are your words.
That's right.
Talk about the book. Go in the book and teach the people what not to do
So
and what to do
so
to gain favor in the eyes of God.
That's
The
right.
inauguration is not going to deliver me.
No, it's not.
That's right.
It's not. Exodus 20 states that the men servants and the maid servants should work, should rest. The men servants and the maid servants should rest. What is the job of the men servants and the maid servants?
To serve their master.
To serve their master. So if they are to rest in their job from serving, then why do you serve?
Uh-oh.
Why do you serve him?
Uh-oh.
Don't bring me nothing.
Same
I go get my own.
Uh-oh.
See, that's how far I'm going with it.
That's
Same
right.
Everybody don't have to go that far
That's
You don't
right.
have to agree.
because this is the choice. But you can't tell me I'm losing my mind because I can use the book and I'll show you what the book says.
That's right.
So I don't serve nobody.
That's right.
And I don't want nobody serving me.
That's right.
Because God said that the men servants and the maid servants should rest. So therefore, I don't allow nobody to serve me, and I don't serve nobody.
That's right. That's right.
I'm just doing according to what I read.
That's right.
I'm not losing my mind. Shama ain't crazy.
You're not saying- you're
No, I'm
saying-
not.
you ain't saying.
Let's read.
And while the children of Israel were in the wilderness,
And the children of Israel was in the
they
wilderness.
found a man that gathered sticks.
Oh,
upon the
there it
Sabbath
goes.
day.
There it goes. They found a man that was gathering sticks on the Sabbath day. What verse is that, brother?
That's verse 32.
Uh-huh.
And while the children of Israel were in the wilderness, they found a man that gathered sticks upon the Sabbath day.
That found a man gathering sticks on the Sabbath day. Did it say he kindled fire?
No,
Did it say his intention was to kindle fire?
no.
No, it said they found a man gathering sticks. What did they do to that man?
And they that found him gathering sticks brought him unto Moses and Aaron.
They
and
strung
unto
him
all
up.
the congregation.
You know why they had to strung him up? They had to show, you have to show God that you don't agree with what he's doing. Huh? Huh? You got to show God that you don't agree with that action. Just like today, people be in the wrong and they still have friends and people that sided with them.
That's right.
When nobody tells the person, hey, brother, you're wrong.
That's right. Come on.
Hey, brother, you're wrong.
Come on, Sean.
And guess what? I can't walk with you till you correct it.
That's right.
I said, I can't walk with you till you correct it. You know why? Because guess what? When you walk with the violator, God look at you and say, you agree.
That's right.
How can two
Walk together.
walk together except they be agreed?
That's right.
Right.
So when you're wrong and when you are at fault, I cannot walk with you. I don't hate you, but my job is to show God that I don't like what you did neither.
That's right.
I disagree with it.
That's right. Talk about it.
Right.
You ain't gonna have me walking with you and you're in violation with God.
Right.
Listen. Hey.
That's right. Teach.
Hey.
Teach.
Let's read.
Verse
Right.
33.
Uh-huh.
And they that found him gathering sticks brought him unto Moses and Aaron
Mhm.
and unto all the congregation. And they put him in war
And put him in war
because it was not declared.
because
what
it
should
wasn't
be done to
declared
him.
what should be done to him. Uh-huh.
And the Lord said unto Moses,
Uh-huh.
the man shall be surely put to
The
death.
man shall surely be put to death.
All the congregation shall stone him with stones without the camp.
Uh-huh.
And all the congregation brought him without the camp
Uh-huh.
and stoned him with stones, and he died. As
Uh-huh.
the Lord commanded Moses.
Uh-huh.
And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, speak unto the children of Israel.
Okay, go ahead.
And bid them that they make them fringes.
Bid them that they make them fringes. Go ahead.
In the borders of their garments.
Okay, so now, in order to get the meaning of what the verse is talking about, you have to go into the Hebrew. Okay, so now we're going to go into the Hebrew. Speak unto the children of Israel and bid them that they make them fringes. See, in the borders. You know what the border is? The border is how you see these people with their fringes, all around, which is wrong. When you look up the Hebrew word for border, the word for border is what? Kanaf. Kanaf means corners, and it also means borders. But when you go into the Hebrew in Deuteronomy 22, where it tells you to wear your fringes, it says arba. Arba means four corners. Arba kanfot means four corners. So we are not supposed to be wearing fringes on the borders. We wear our fringes on four corners. You split your side, but now we have Israelites that put fringes on, and they ain't got no corners, brother.
They don't want to cut their shirts.
Yeah, they're pretty shirt.
They don't got no corners.
Pretty garment.
And guess what? This is kidney garden.
Yeah. Teach.
This is kidney garden.
Teach.
Putting on fringes, you still can't get that right.
Yeah.
So what makes you think God is going to pick you up in other laws and you can't get that right?
Yeah.
God don't skip grades.
Yeah.
There's levels in righteousness. If I don't complete this level, God's not going to advance you. He's not going to advance you.
Teach.
Huh? Go ahead. Fringes on the borders of their garments.
Throughout their generation.
Throughout their generation.
And that they put upon the fringe of the borders a ribbon of blue.
A ribbon of blue. You know what a ribbon of blue is? Patil tekelet. Patil is a thread. Why do I see Israelites with blue fringes?
A single
Patil is a thread. Why do I see Israelites with blue fringes?
Okay.
I told you we can't get this right. You think we're going to elevate?
the colors. You can't even get the color.
You think we're going to elevate with God?
Talk about it, bro.
No, he's going to leave us right here.
Get the color right.
He's going to leave us right here.
Right.
Time sheet.
And it shall be unto you for a fringe.
A fringe.
That you may look upon it and remember all the commandments of the Lord and do them. And that
It's supposed to serve a purpose.
Yeah.
When you see a fringe, you remember the laws and the commandments of God.
That's right.
That's the purpose. Go ahead.
and that ye seek not after your own
And that you
heart
seek not after your own heart,
and your own eyes,
your own eyes.
after which you used to go a whoring,
Uh-huh.
that you may remember and do all my commandments and be holy unto your God. Verse 41, I am the Lord your God, which brought you out of the
Let's
land of
cut
Egypt.
that. Let's cut that. And let's go into Psalms 119. We're going to go into Aleph. Aleph. We're going to go into Aleph and B, and then we're going to shut it down. Psalms 119.
Blessed are the undefiled in the way.
Uh-oh. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. You saying some good stuff there. Huh? Say that over.
Blessed are the undefiled in the way.
Blessed are the undefiled that are in the way. Huh? So in order to be undefiled, you got to be living in the way of truth, in the ways of God. You can't be undefiled and you're not living in the truth. You're not living within the means of the laws and the commandments of God. Huh? So what does it mean to be blessed? Blessed means to speak gratefully of. Huh? To speak good about.
Yeah.
Hey, listen to this, guys. Watch what you speak good about.
Okay.
You can't speak about things, speak good about things that God hate and despise.
All right.
You can't speak good about people that lives different
That's right.
than the lifestyle that God accepts.
Okay. Yeah.
What am I doing speaking good about 50 cents?
Okay.
50 cents don't serve God.
Sure don't.
He don't want nothing to do with your God.
Okay.
But I speak good about people that don't want nothing to do with your God.
That's right.
Gotta watch who you speak good about, man.
That's right.
He said what? Read that verse over.
Blessed are the undefiled.
Blessed are the undefiled. The word for undefiled is temime. Temime means blessed are the innocent, the complete, the faultless, the whole. Huh? What does whole means? To be whole with God. Who was whole with God? Joshua and Caleb. He said, because these two guys followed me wholly, completely, 100%.
Yeah.
So what does it mean to be whole with God? To be whole with God means a person in his full nature. In his full nature includes ways of thinking, ways of feeling, and action. These are the three things we got to correct. It ain't only about what you do. I said, it ain't only about what you do. It's also about your thoughts and how you think. It's also about the feelings that stirs up in you. Huh? We forgot about that, right? Huh? I say we forgot about that, right? Oh, I do this and I do that and I do that, but you got forward thoughts.
Yeah.
I see your thinking pattern is off.
Steve.
Oh, I do this and I do that and I do that, but you won't correct the feelings that stirs up in you. That's not right. Come on, man. How many of us get stirred up feelings that's not right and correct those feelings? He said, wait a minute. I should not be feeling this way. Why? Why you're able to do that? Because you can use the same law and you correct those feelings that stirs up in you that you should not be feeling this way. You use those same laws and you correct your thoughts. Train yourself, man.
Right.
Train yourself. Because I'm training minds. Because I'm training myself. Yeah. I'm training myself. You know how many times thoughts come here and I say, wait, I shouldn't be thinking that way.
No. Hold yourself back and say, no.
No, I shouldn't be feeling this way.
No, that's not right.
No, it ain't right.
I wouldn't like it.
I wouldn't like it.
Okay.
These things should go together. That's it, right?
Let's read it.
Yeah. Blessed are the undefiled in the way,
Uh-huh.
who walk in the law of the Lord.
Who walk in the laws of God. Uh-huh.
Blessed are they that keep his testimonies.
Blessed are they that keep his testimonies. Uh-huh.
And that seek him with the whole heart.
And that seek him with the whole heart. Time sheet.
They also do no iniquity.
Uh-oh.
They walk in his ways.
They also do no iniquity. Those are the ones that seek God wholly.
The whole heart.
The reason why we sin against God is because we're not complete. We don't follow God completely, 100%. So we leave room to violate the commandments. We haven't made our mind up 100%. Even though you've been born in the way of life, you have not made your mind up 100%. Because when you make your mind up 100%, you don't sin against God. You don't sin presumptuously. Let me correct that. Solomon, the wisest man that ever lived, he said, There's no man that sinneth not. But the key to that is not to sin presumptuously.
There you go.
Okay? Now, he said, they also do no iniquity. You know what's the word for iniquity? The Hebrew word for iniquity is awela. Ayin, wav, lamed, hey. You know what that means? Injustice. It means wrong. They also do no injustice. They also do no wrong. Let's dig in deep. Injustice means violation of the rights of others. I can't violate your rights. I can. Now this goes into treatment. How do I treat you and how you treat me? What you do to me and what I do to you. Unfairness. Unfairness means partiality. To favor one more than the other. Okay? Wrong means not correct. Not correct. Correct means free of error. But when you're not correct, you're not free of error. Okay? Correct means in accordance with facts or truth. But when you're not correct, you are not in agreement with the facts and with the truth that comes from that book. Correct means conforming or agreeing to an approved standard. But when you're not correct, you don't conform. You don't agree to the standards of God. Not conforming to or agreeing with facts. So when you are walking in the ways of God, you follow a certain course or procedure that is set up by our forefathers. The Most High was strictly against following and doing anything like the other nations. Anything like the other nations. God was against it. Let's read it.
Verse 4. God has commanded us to keep thy precepts diligently. Oh, that my ways were directed to keep thy statutes. Then shall I not be ashamed, when I have respect unto all thy commandments.
He said, then shall I not be ashamed. You reach a certain level.
You reach to that level.
Yes. King David reached that level, man. Embarrassed, ashamed means what? Embarrassed or feeling guilt because of one's actions. Golly, man. Do we see the level that we are not at? We're not on that level, man. We have a lot of work to do with ourselves. We don't feel embarrassed of the wrong that we done against God and man. We don't. Because if you was embarrassed, then you'll stop violating. Let's read.
Verse 7.
No, verse 6. Then shall I not be ashamed when
I
have what?
When I have respect unto all thy
commandments. The word respect in the Hebrew is beha biti. Also, the other word is it's also come from the word teiti. It means to regard. It means to consider. This is the same word that God used with Cain. He said, if you improve, he said, if you take heed, he said, I will exalt you. Shall thou not be exalted? I will notice you. I will consider you. But we have to improve before God in order first. So in order for God to consider us. In order for God to regard us, we have to improve. I don't know what it was why God did not regard Cain. Because it wasn't specified and we didn't read it there. So I'm not going to put my own words. But there was something that God saw in Cain that wasn't right. I can say one thing. He didn't do anything, but it had to be something that what? It had to be something to be done with the heart. Inside. What was it that God regard and consider about Abel? He ain't doing nothing. But it was something of who a type of person he was. So when they sent up the offering, the same God then was the same God that King Solomon worshipped. Because it shows and it reads that when King Solomon sent up that offering, God showed that he accepted the offering by fire. Fire came down from heaven and sucked up the whole offering. So when Cain and Abel sent the offering before God, Abel got a reaction. But Cain didn't get no reaction. God did not regard Cain. So therefore, he didn't regard his offering. God regarded and considered Abel. So therefore, he considered and regarded his offering. Which means, in order for God to accept your prayer, you got to be accepted. In order for God to accept your prayer, you must be accepted. It's the same system, man. The system don't change. The system don't change, man. It don't. Let's read.
Verse 7. I will praise thee with uprightness of heart.
I will praise thee with uprightness of heart. What is an upright heart? What does an upright heart means? What it means to have an upright heart. An upright heart is just. An upright heart has a conscience. An upright heart is scrupulous. Scrupulous means very concerned to avoid doing wrong against God. Conscientious is a feeling of obligation to make right that which was done wrong. To be just means agreeing to a standard of what is correct. You see how God wants us to be? Let's read. Verse 7.
I will praise thee with uprightness of heart. When I shall have learned thy righteous judgment. I will keep thy statutes.
I will keep thy statutes.
Oh, forsake me not utterly.
Tom sheet.
Wherewithal shall a young man cleanse his way?
Wherewithal shall a young man cleanse his ways? The word for cleanse is yezakeh. Yezakeh means to attain. How can you attain the ways of God? To attain means to gain the ways of God. How to acquire the ways of God. Let's read it.
By taking heed.
By taking heed.
Thereto according to thy word.
Thereto according to thy word. Tom sheet, verse 10.
With my whole heart have I sought thee.
With my whole heart have I sought thee. Wait a minute. Sought. The word sought is dadash. Dadash means to seek. With my whole heart have I seek thee. With my whole heart have I resort to thee. Right? The word resort means the action of turning to, and adopting a course of action, especially a disagreeable or undesirable one. Oh my gosh. Wait a minute, man. Did we hear this, man? Which means we're going to hear laws that we don't agree with. It's our job to train ourselves to accept
That's right.
the very same law that you don't like.
Stop being stubborn.
Teach us,
When
teach
there's
us.
stuff you don't like,
Come on, man.
you gotta resort to it.
Adopting means accepting something foreign to one's nature.
You're not used to this.
You ain't used to it. I said accepting something foreign to one's nature. You are not accustomed to this.
Yeah.
But you have to train yourself to accept it because God accepts
That's
it.
how you break yourself.
That's how you break yourself. I said, that's how you break yourself.
Break yourself, fool.
Let's read it.
Oh, let me not wander from thy commandment.
Oh, let me not wander. Let me not stray away. Let me not err from thy commandments. Let's hit it.
Thy word have I hid in mine heart,
I ain't gonna forget it.
that I might not sin.
That I might
against
not
thee.
sin against thee.
Blessed art thou, O Lord.
Blessed art thou, O Lord.
Teach me thy statutes.
Teach me thy statutes.
With my lips have I declared
With my lips have I declared
all the judgments of thy mouth.
all the judgments of thy mouth.
I have rejoiced in the way of thy testimony.
I rejoice in the way of thy testimonies,
As much as in all
as in all riches.
I will meditate in thy
I will
precepts,
meditate. I will discuss. I will talk of thy precepts
and have respect unto
and
thy
have
ways.
respect unto your ways.
I will delight myself
I will
in thy
delight
statutes.
myself in thy statutes.
I will not forget
I
thy
will not
word.
forget that word.
You hear the king?
And with that, I hope everybody has gotten what was bought.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom Aleichem.
Do anybody have any questions in the chat? Anybody have any questions?
No smoke.
Leave it on for a couple seconds. If anybody have any questions, then I will shut it down. No questions? Shabbat Shalom, people.
Shabbat Shalom
Mishpaka.
Aleichem.
Mishpaka means family. We're gonna continue this tomorrow at 10:30. 10:30 a.m. We will continue this. Shabbat Shalom.
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 Shalom.